October draws closer. Can't you feel it in your blood? It's late September, which means it's basically... Hang on. Which means it's basically Halloween, so I figured we could start getting into the spooky spirit with arguably one of the most popular D&D adventures of all time, Curse of Strahd. Originating in the 80s as a module called Ravenloft, the 2016 gothic horror campaign known as Curse of Strahd seems to be nearly everybody's favorite. With only one problem, from what I hear, a lot of people find the ending to be kind of anticlimactic. Oh hey, editing Ginny here. Obviously there is not only one problem with Curse of Strahd, the most glaring of which is the issues with representation of disability and the Vistani people. I will link to some articles in the description if you want to learn more about that. I was just talking about the problem that this video deals with. Back to it. Before I go any further, if you are currently playing or plan to someday play in a Curse of Strahd campaign, you should stop watching this video right now, lest you experience the horror of spoiling yourself. Okay, like I was saying, some people find the ending dissatisfying. Many parties apparently breeze through the final battle, sometimes knocking out Strahd in just 1 or 2 rounds. Other DMs make better use of his evasion tactics and lead the players on a long, drawn-out chase that just doesn't end up being very much fun to play. Plus, while there's plenty of advice online for running the final battle with Strahd, that encounter can happen at any time that your players choose, which can leave some DMs feeling unprepared for how to create a final confrontation that feels worthy of the campaign that precedes it. Thankfully, one man has a solution: Wyatt Trull, author of dozens of third-party D&D publications, including The Wedding at Ravenloft. This book is a 4-act conclusion to Curse of Strahd. If you're the type of DM who would like just a little more guidance on how to end the campaign with a bang, this book is gonna be your new best friend. And I'm not just saying that because I'm getting paid, although I am getting paid because this video is sponsored by DMsGuild. DMsGuild is a community content program where creators can legally use official D&D material to create and share their own game content, from adventures and character options to monster collections and magic items. There are thousands of PDFs, all created by DMs just like you, to help improve your games and make your job easier. Make sure to use my code for a 10% discount on your DMsGuild purchase, whether or not it includes The Wedding at Ravenloft. More info in the description. I picked this book to feature because I myself am one of those DMs who would rather have more guidance than less, even if I end up ignoring or changing it all. But I haven't run Curse of Strahd yet, so first I wanted to share some thoughts from people who have. A fantastic ending to the campaign, and dare I say, one that overshadows the book itself. This is so much better than the standard ending for Curse of Strahd, and takes into account so many possibilities. Thanks for saving me a ton of time trying to track the various characters and storylines and giving me a way to tie up the campaign in a meaningful way. Today, I just want to walk you through The Wedding at Ravenloft. I'm going to talk about what each of the 4 acts covers and how the book is set up to accommodate each unique campaign and party. In this module, Strahd has captured Irina and invited the party to their wedding. At the wedding, players have opportunities to interact with key NPCs from the campaign, sneak around the castle, complete several side quests, and finally, confront the Devil Strahd himself in one last battle to determine the fate of Barovia. Trull says in the opening that his goal is to alleviate your workload, and I think he does this really effectively by creating not just an arc and a collection of encounters, but some really flexible advice for how to use the resources in this book to suit whatever's already happened and whatever your players' priorities are in your game. To set up for this conclusion, only 2 things need to happen. First, Strahd needs to capture Irina, and the book includes a few suggestions on how DMs can make that happen if they don't have a plan of their own. And then the next morning, the players receive wedding invitations, which brings us to Act 1. The Wedding at Ravenloft opens with the party arriving at Castle Ravenloft, where Strahd's chamberlain Rahadin demands that they swear an oath to hospitality. They must surrender their weapons and swear to spill no blood. They won't be harmed as long as they don't do any harm. Now, obviously, the party is going to break this oath. They might break it immediately, they might not break it until the final act. The module is written to accommodate this, because the moment your players decide to attack, you jump to Act 4, no matter how far into the adventure you are. But this oath gives you and the players a framework that enables all kinds of interesting stuff. Instead of jumping straight into combat, there's an opportunity to draw together all the threads from the campaign. Strahd can be his most condescending, irritating self as he gloats about his conquest and mocks the adventurers. Meanwhile, they can sneak around the castle, maybe recovering their weapons or finding one of the fortunes of Ravenloft treasures. They can interact with other wedding guests who are mostly important NPCs from the campaign. And since most parties will absolutely be plotting something, this gives them the space to set up and execute their schemes. The best part is it puts the players in the driver's seat. The oath is a pause button, and the players can unpause it whenever they're ready to initiate that final showdown that the whole campaign has been building towards. But don't worry, this act isn't just freeform, do whatever you want in the castle time, there's still some structure here. Strahd invites the players to share a drink with him before the ceremony. It's an illusory Strahd meant to distract the party while he charms their destined ally into turning against them. Also, Irina pulls aside one party member to ask them to be a bridesmaid or groomsman. This is also a cover, giving her a chance to beg them to kill her before Strahd can make her his bride for eternity. I suspect most parties will probably make it through this act without breaking their oath of hospitality, if only because they need time to go get their weapons back. My favorite part about this act as a setup for the final confrontation is that it just puts all the most important characters in the same spot. If you're just improvising your final sessions after what, for most parties, is around a year of play, it's gonna be really hard to wrap up all those little individual storylines and relationships in a way that feels satisfying. By bringing everyone together for the wedding, you're creating space for the party to get closure with the most important characters from their journey. The author advises that you not set a time limit here, so the players have as much time as they need to complete whatever preparations they want to make before Act 2, the ceremony. This is the shortest act, and it's pretty rigid because, you know, it's a ceremony, it's pre-scripted even in real life. The party is seated separate from each other, and the book even provides a seating chart, which is just chef's kiss for an overplanner DM like me. There's some great pre-written flavor text of Irina coming down the aisle. It's all very dramatic and should really create a sense of urgency with your players. There's also a bit where the officiant asks if anyone objects to the wedding, and while there are some pre-written objections from characters like Irina's brother Ismark, this is also a really fun place to let the characters stand up and just talk some shit. Then there are the vows. Strahd's addressed not to Irina's name but to Tatiana's, and Irina's clearly dictated by the charm she's under. And then they kiss and they are married. Congratulations to the newlyweds. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I can't think of a single party I've been in that wouldn't attack before or during the ceremony. Just sitting there and watching Strahd and Irina be married would simply not be an option for any of the groups I've played with. And the book understands this very well because there's a detailed section about what to do if the players choose to attack during the ceremony, after which you skip to Act 4. But if your party is unusually passive or for any reason doesn't want to attack until after the ceremony, then you move on to Act 3, the reception. The way I see it, this act exists for two main reasons. One, to give the players another chance to roam around the castle if for any reason they didn't recover their confiscated weapons during Act 1. And two, to give the DM a final chance to goad the adventurers into breaking the Oath of Hospitality. During the reception, several guests make toasts to the happy couple. If you have a party who loves to talk trash, they will probably really enjoy giving their own toasts. Wedding gifts are also presented here, and the author notes that if the party hasn't recovered or has lost any of the 3 treasures of Ravenloft, it might make a good gift for an NPC to give Strahd, providing an opportunity for the players to reclaim it through violence or subterfuge. The party members are also expected to have brought a gift, which just feels like yet another fantastic setup for the attack that breaks the oath.
And I've brought you myrrh.
Thank you.
Murder.
Judas! There's also a neat little duel between Strahd and Ismark to punish him for objecting during the ceremony. Both Ismark and Strahd can appoint champions, and either might choose the adventurers. The party can also try and convince Strahd to change Ismark's punishment, such as imprisoning him rather than sentencing him to death. Not only does this bit give the party another opportunity to say enough is enough and spring their attack on Strahd, but I think it contributes to a really good flavor choice that is consistent throughout this adventure, which is that the party is constantly being shown that there are a lot of other guests here who oppose the wedding, but simply don't have the power to stop it. For most parties who actually give a f***, this is gonna create a real sense of responsibility. If they don't stop Strahd, nobody will. If you reach the end of Act 3 and for some reason the party still hasn't attacked Strahd, then Strahd himself breaks the Oath of Hospitality, taking Irina away to their marital bed and leaving behind his minions to lock the party and the rest of the guests into the audience hall and kill them, Red Wedding style. This brings us to Act 4, the Devil's Wedding Night. As I said earlier, you can jump to Act 4 at any time. Some parties will undoubtedly see the ceremony itself as the ticking clock and will launch their attack as early as Act 1, skipping Acts 2 and 3. But if you're worried that this will make the adventure too short, you shouldn't be. Act 4 is modular, containing 7 different side quests that you can choose from to suit your party. For example, if one of your party members has become infected with lycanthropy, Strahd uses his power over the land of Barovia to change the moon into a full moon, triggering the transformation and turning the werewolf against their allies. Or maybe your players decide to go rescue Irina from her marital bed. Unfortunately, it's a trap. Irina is actually in Strahd's crypt, and 4 vampire spawn have staged an ambush for the party in Strahd's bedchamber. You can run as many of these quests as you want, so if your party skips over a lot of the module and you want to beef up the session a little more before reaching the final confrontation, you have plenty of content at your disposal. Now, in the very beginning of the book, the author suggests that Strahd should conduct at least 2 hit-and-run attacks on the party throughout the evening, once the oath is broken. These can coincide with the modular side quests. So, for example, if your party tackles the Heart of Sorrow side quest and decides to destroy the crystalline heart that protects Strahd from harm, Strahd can jump into the fray to try and stop them. Of course, this is the end of the campaign, so even these precursors to the final battle should feel dramatic and important. To make that happen, you can take advantage of the resources that the book provides for the final confrontation. As per the Taroko reading, there is one fated location where the adventurers are guaranteed to be able to find Strahd and end this once and for all. The wedding at Ravenloft includes flavor text and tactics for each possible location, but of course you'll only be having your final encounter at one, so feel free to use the information from the unused locations for your hit-and-run attacks to give them each their own unique vibe and challenges. In each of these hit-and-run attacks, Strahd should fight for 1 to 3 rounds and then retreat so he can recover. These battles are meant to diminish Strahd's resources, killing off his minions and destroying his important items to wear him down for the final battle. And finally, it'll be time for that last combat encounter. The flavor text and tactics that I mentioned a minute ago will help you make it climactic, but at this point, even if the party kills Strahd in just 1 or 2 rounds, it's still gonna have weight because it isn't just about this final battle anymore. The wedding has given us a setting where the players have been making active decisions all night. Maybe they were saving innocents, gathering allies, collecting important items, weakening their enemy. All those side quests, all that roleplay, all those hit-and-run attacks, they're all part of the boss battle, so there's a lot less pressure on that one final encounter. Of course, the battle being over doesn't quite mean the campaign is over. The last step to making the conclusion feel satisfying for your players is to give them a meaningful epilogue. The book contains guidance on how to do that, whether your characters defeat Strahd and free Barovia, or fail and become Irina's first meal as a vampire. For more detailed advice, check out this video on how to pull off a killer epilogue that really does your campaign justice. By the way, you clicked on this video because you thought I was gonna complain about Barovia being trapped in an endless cycle and the player's actions being ultimately meaningless, didn't you? I don't know, I feel like I can see both sides of that argument. What do you think?